What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Peanut Butter Magic. Thanks for tuning in.
It's the Peanut Butter Magic Show. It's the Peanut Butter Magic Show.
All right, welcome to another episode of Peanut Butter Magic, the DIY entertainment podcast where we talk about all things success and failure of hustle and bustle in the entertainment business. What's going on, Soy? How you doing today?
Chilling, man. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Did you have a good weekend?
Yeah, it was pretty good. What did we do? Must not have been nothing too crazy because I don't remember. but
hey, that could be a good thing.
You know what I mean? So
and a bad thing.
Yeah. But yeah, everything was good, man. I guess no news, good news. Quiet is always good.
Yeah.
I think I might have just hung out with the kids. I ain't got no real out the way stories. What about you? I know you went out of town.
We went to Chicago.
Okay, what happened in
Windy
Chicago?
City. So Marvel had a exhibit at one of the museums up there.
Yeah.
It was a limited run, and their season, I guess, was almost out. So we bought one of the last available tickets, which ended up being this past weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So we went and visited her roommate from college who lives there, free room and board.
All right.
And went to the Marvel exhibit.
Okay.
Pretty cool.
Now,
Funny
what did you
story.
see there?
So they had all the costumes of all the characters from the films. It's crazy all the detail that they put into the costumes.
Yeah.
I mean, just seeing them up close, you see them on screen, you're like, oh, that's so cool. But then you get up to it and you see all the patterns and textures of every little piece. So it's pretty cool. They had the very first Marvel comic book ever there on display behind a glass case.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
The first Spider-Man comic, the first Fantastic Four comic. Just want to bust the glass, grab it, and run.
Catch a fair charge. It's okay.
That's right. That's right.
Is your wife, is she into that too?
Well, as I think most nerds' wives are, no. But she started watching the movies after we started dating because I got to go to the theater. So she would come along and watch it. And over the years, she's seen all of them. So when she found out there was an exhibit, she's kind of grown into it to know who the characters are. She wanted to go as well. So
yeah.
All
right.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Oddly enough, she hates Hawkeye, which I find hysterical. I have no idea why.
Uh-huh.
His was the only costume they didn't have on display, and of course she noticed.
Oh.
She's like, that's funny. I don't see Hawkeye's costume anywhere. I wonder why.
Now, who is Hawkeye? Who is that?
He's the guy. He doesn't have any powers, but he has the bow and arrow.
Oh.
Yep.
No.
Yeah. She's just like, why is he here? What's he going to do? Shoot somebody with an arrow?
That's his power.
I mean, yeah, that's exactly what he's gonna do.
Right.
It is funny. But the funny story is so we got to Indianapolis, and that's about 3.5 hours from here. So stopped there for lunch, and I get off the interstate, and I'm hearing this like roaring sound. And so we pulled up to a light, revved up the engine a little bit, and I didn't hear anything abnormal. I was like, I heard something when we got off the exit. I don't know what it was. So we took off and we headed to the restaurant we were going to stop and eat at. And I started hearing this like grinding, roaring sound. We found out it was her brakes. So we drove all the way to Chicago and back with faulty brakes. Pulled her wheel off yesterday when I got home, and the pad had separated from the back plate.
Oh my gosh!
So brake pads have the plate, and then they have the thick pad that applies the pressure of the rotor, or whatever. And that it had faulted. The pad was completely gone, and all that was left was that plate.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
tore the rotor up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was rough. It was really rough.
So did you replace the brakes yourself?
I'm going to. We ordered the parts.
All right.
so they'll be here.
Okay.
Yeah. But speaking about breaks,
all right, let's take one. Nah, I'm like,
right. Well, I actually wanted to talk tonight about when you're not taking a break.
Okay.
Kind of segue into that. I want to talk about staying busy.
Yeah. Something
I think we all kind of struggled to do during the I cannot talk tonight, during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
I started to do some research the last couple days about talking points and some trying to pick up some things that backed up what I felt like talking about tonight. And oddly enough, I had trouble finding positive side of staying busy. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of negativity online about people who are constantly busy, that have busy schedules. And there was a lot of good points that were made, and we can get into those later. But I, oddly enough, think that people in our, adventure in life should stay busy. There was articles written about what you're missing in life and your failure to prioritize in life, and all of these things that like, I don't think that this is the point for staying busy. I think people stay busy to be successful. And I had trouble finding articles that backed up what I wanted to talk about tonight. So I guess I'm going to go against the grain here and say you should stay busy. I stay busy, and I know you stay busy. And I think that's beneficial to the success that we have and the success that we're building upon, is because we are always staying busy. Yeah. Part of the issues that people had during the pandemic, especially people in our position, is we entertain the world. Like, we make art to share with everyone.
Right.
And when you can't leave your house, it's very difficult to create those, artful masterpieces to share with everyone, whether you're listening to it through headphones or watching it on your phone or a screen. If you don't have a crew, if you don't have access to what's outside of your house, then it can be very hard to create things. You can write, you can develop, but the production side of it, at least from a filmmaker standpoint, I mean, you can't do it alone by yourself at home. And so I know a lot of people that are in their own industries that aren't entertainment related. We're also sitting at home, not able to go to work, trying to come up with things that they can do to stay busy. And I've seen and I've witnessed a lot of my friends have taken up new hobbies, and some have completely changed their career paths because while they were at home doing nothing, they found new things that they didn't know that they were interested in, and practiced and got better. And some have sold things on Etsy. Some are designing clothes and selling them on, the internet. Some are podcasting like you and I are. Some are working on all kinds of stuff. Everybody came up with something new to do, and it's all because they chose to stay busy and learn a new hobby. So I just kind of wanted to talk about that tonight, and some of the things that I learned throughout the pandemic when I was trying to find things to do to stay busy, what motivated me, what I failed in, what I excelled in. And so I wanted to go over some of that stuff and, get some thoughts from you on what you do to stay busy. And I know you enjoy staying busy as much as I do, so I wanted to get your perspective on it and bounce some ideas back and forth.
All right. Well, first of all, I'd like to know, what did those articles say? Did you see any real talking points in any of those articles about not staying busy?
No, most of, and it could have just been my word selection when I was trying to figure out the positives of staying busy. Mm-hmm. But most of it was reflecting on things that are going on in your own life that you're avoiding by staying busy.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I'm avoiding by staying busy is failure.
Yeah.
And so I struggled to find articles that promoted staying busy. Most of them were, if you're staying busy, you're avoiding something, you're missing out on something. Free up your schedules, spend more time by yourself, spend more time doing the things you want to do. And I agree with all of those points, but no one successful sat around not doing anything.
You got a point.
You know?
You do. You got a point. And I also believe in like repetition too. We get up and we go to work and work like 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, and we do it 5 days a week. And then we come home on Friday with a paycheck. A lot of why that works is because we've been conditioned since we were kids in school to get up early in the morning and go to a place for X amount of hours per day and be productive and do that. And it's easy to do when you're kind of not necessarily being forced, but when, you know, your life kind of depends on whether or not you show up to a place. When, you know, you have a boss or a superior. What I found in a lot of entrepreneurs is that discipline to do something every day. It's like when we had the studio, when we first opened the studio, I didn't really know. I really didn't know how that was going to play out. I had no real plan as to, okay, this is what we're going to do. I knew what I kind of wanted to do with Diggs Nation, but I had never been at the helm before in a circumstance like that. So I really had no real clue. And the studio has always been something to where I just kind of did when I could, or if somebody called or whatever. But even from day one, without a plan, I knew that if I showed up every day at such and such time, eventually something will happen to where I'll have to do something it'll turn into something. You know, if I show up at my time to get there was 7 o'clock every morning. And if I got there at 7 o'clock every morning, even by not knowing what I'm going to do once I got there, doing it every day gave me a routine structure to where, okay, I'm going to come in and at 7 and then from 7:05 to this, that, and the third and blah, 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 to where it became something. And we started the morning show eventually to where at 7 o'clock I would come in and prep for the morning show. But even before I had like a daily show or anything like that, just going every day at 7 a.m., nothing turned into something, you know. So having that discipline to just show up for yourself, you know, because some people look at like being an entrepreneur, being a business owner, or being an artist or a creator, that we sleep till 11, 12 in the afternoon, and then we kind of create whenever we feel like it. Part of that has some truth to it. I'm not going to say that it's all fiction. There's some truth to it, but the most successful oftentimes get up in the mornings and are conditioned and disciplined to make that day happen, and they do it every single day, you know. So,
and I think a lot of those artists that do have the luxury of sleeping in until noon every day and, you know, just lounging around and doing whatever they want to do. And then, you know, in the evening times, their brain wakes up and then they start creating. You know, that's a luxury to have. And I understand to some degree why they do that, because, you know, creating something, you can't necessarily control when you're going to get into the mood to come up with something new.
Right.
And I do, Exactly. I do understand, that some people, and I'm calling it a luxury because if you're in a position where you can just sleep whenever you want, do whatever you want, I mean, that's awesome.
Right.
Good job, buddy. But, like for the rest of us, I completely agree. You do have to discipline yourself. And part of that discipline is, even if you're not working on anything, is still knowing that I have to get something done.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you don't have anything on your plate to get done, like in one of the other episodes, I talked about writing every day. Even if I'm not in the mood to write, even if I don't have anything to write, I still find time every day to sit down and just brainstorm stuff and just come up with things. And I never know what I'm going to come up with when I do that. If I don't have a script that I necessarily have to work on, and I'm really just, all right, I haven't done anything today, I need to do something, anything could come out. And I may never use it, but I'm going to come up with something at some point, or I may come back to it at another point. I'm going to relate it to this podcast, because coming up with new things is one of the points that I had today. Is when you're trying to stay busy and you're in between projects and there's nothing going on, like you and I were during the pandemic, we're trying to come up with things to do. What can we do? What can we do? Some of my filmmaker friends, we had not Zoom calls, but group calls. What can we do? Is there anything that we can do? Like, we can't really go anywhere. Some people are, older than us. Some people are younger than us. We didn't really know anything. Mask, no mask. There were no discussions about shots. What do we do? I want to do something, but I don't know what to do. And you and I had that same conversation, and that led to, what if we did a podcast?
Right.
Like, we have all the equipment,
right?
Plus or minus a few items. We could go ahead and set something up, and that gives us an outlet to create. And I never even liked podcasts really until the pandemic.
No.
I didn't listen to them. I knew that they existed. I didn't really understand what they were. And I know a lot of people dived into podcasts. There was almost 1 million new podcasts that started last year.
Everybody. I was reading something about how many podcasts there are out there right now too. It was like a 30% increase or something like that I saw.
Yeah,
in podcasts. Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
But that's all creative people sitting at home going, gosh, I need to do something. And that backs up the staying busy part. Is I bet most of those people were never planning on doing a podcast.
Right.
Like, they weren't sitting at home going, man, I can't wait to get my podcast started. They were sitting at home like you and I were going, what in the world are we going to do? Gotta do something. Because
I never even, and like I said, the idea was thrown out a couple of times, maybe 3 or 4 times before I even gave it some thought. Because I was not, podcast the furthest thing from my mind, honestly. I was just like, no. But then after a while, like you said, it got a little stagnant. So you're like, we need to do something. Let's do something. So now I've been having a lot of fun. Like, I didn't realize how enjoyable podcasts could be. I had no clue. Just one of those areas to where you just look over a little bit,
Right.
But yeah, now that I'm involved, this is cool. That unlike anything that I've ever really put my hands into, but a little similar, but not really.
Right.
Not really, yeah. It's a little more candid this way.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I've got a buddy that multiple times he said to me, man, it'd be really cool if this was on a shirt. And he would pitch his idea. And it would either be funny or creative or both. And I would go, oh, that should be on a shirt. And he'd go, I'm going to put it on a shirt. And then, fast forward 6 more months, and he'd be like, man, what about this idea? I go, oh, that should go on a shirt. And he'd go, I know, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And then during the pandemic, sitting at home with nothing to do, he's an artist, but not a artistic drawing and logo design, not that type of artist. And he sat down and started learning how to design clothes. And that's what he did during his free time. And I believe he's in the process of putting a store together now of all original ideas that he's had over the years, but has no way of being creative right now because of the pandemic, other than generating ideas at home. Found an outlet for his creativity. And, you know, pretty soon his products will be available to the entire world. And a lot of people are doing that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Just staying busy.
Yep. Similar circumstance with my sweetie. She saw that heat press just sitting on top of my dryer for months and months and months and months. And when I met her, I kind of jokingly mentioned that, you know, you could make that shake. And she was like, I'm not creative. But then the pandemic hit.
Right.
So now just like you know, a good portion of the rest of America, no job, you know, sitting at home, wanting to be busy, not busy, wanting to be. And she just asked, you don't mind if I just borrow that heat press, do you? It's like, all right. And I was a little hesitant. I'm not even going to lie. You know what I mean? But I was like, okay. And then she went out and bought her own equipment after that. So I was like, okay. So I took her a little more serious. But when she first noticed it sitting on my dryer, her thought patterns were nothing along the lines of putting the heat press to work. She was on some, but now, you know, she's doing all kinds of dumb shit. So yeah, I ain't mad. Ain't mad. Staying busy.
That's right.
You know, staying
That's
busy.
Right. Something else that I think is positive for staying busy is staying competitive.
Yeah.
You know, I know you've talked about in the past when you're not working on a project and you see somebody else put out a project, and that competitive drive comes out, and now you want to put out a project. And I kind of get into the same light in that sense, because if I'm not doing anything and I see somebody else that's doing something, it reminds me that I'm supposed to be working.
Right.
You know, and it puts me back in the studio to start coming up with something new.
Right.
And the wheels are always turning. You know what I mean? And I mean, I'm still bummed that I couldn't find anything that promoted staying busy, because everything about me is stay busy, work, get it done, you know, focus. And that, you know.
But I also believe that you have to stay busy in a productive manner as well. Like I work with some people that their version of busy is a lot of bullshit.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? To where it's like, you know, you're busy doing absolutely nothing. You know, and a lot of times is egos that gets in the way of being productive. You got you see so many so many times, man. I run into guys be like, yeah, I'm the CEO of Shoebox Records, man. And, you know, I got 14 artists, you know what I mean? They all need albums and shit. And the whole time he like checking his phone and, you know, and hold on, let me take this call and shit. Yeah, you know, bring the neck bones home. You know, you ain't talking about shit, but you know what I'm saying? Like I say all the time, there ain't too many motherfuckers busier than me. Yeah, I mean, like between my family life and the shit I do, you know, the rest of the shit that I do, man. If I can take 5 minutes and sit down and talk to you, you can take 5 minutes and sit down and talk to me and shit. Right. You know, you ain't that fucking. Excuse me, hang on 1 second. Let me fuck you. Fuck you, man. You know, that's That's busy in the wrong way. Or if I'm working with an artist and, let's say we have to put together a show. All right. We need a venue, first of all. We need costs for certain items and blah, blah, blah. And you got the artist like, okay, I need to go to the mall and buy me 4 outfits for when I hit the stage. Like, we ain't got a stage to hit yet. You know what I'm saying? Why, but you're ready to go to the mall and buy 4 outfits. That's being counterproductive. That's being busy in the wrong way.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I remember this one kid, he came to me. He wanted to do a 3-song demo. This was several years back. He wanted to do a 3-song demo. And we're talking, and I'm like, so what you got in mind? So he's telling me what he got in mind. And I want to get this guy, and I want to get this guy, and I want to get this guy to go on this record, and I want him to do a verse. And I need these features. These features are going to get my record out farther if I do these features. He kept mentioning features. And I kept saying, get you 3 solid records by yourself first. You know what I mean? And then you can go after the features. But the features they're going to promote me doing this, that, and another. And I finally asked the kid, I'm like, did any of them call you when they was doing their records? Did you feature on any of they records and shit? And he was like, well, no. And I'm like, so you're putting all this energy into people that didn't even think about your ass when they was doing what they do. But yet you want to spend time reaching out to these cats and wait. I got to wait on this song because so-and-so supposed to get on this second verse and whatnot. But you ain't on nothing that they've ever done. That's being busy in the wrong way.
Right.
That's being busy in the wrong way. Go ahead and cut the records. Get you 3 or 4 solid ones, because just like they ain't showing up for your features, or they ain't calling you for your features, for their features, when it's time for them to move on from making the records to promoting the records, there's a good chance they ain't gonna call you then either. So make sure you're in a position where you can win with or without these people.
Right.
But he was so caught up in getting features, and I wound up not even working with the kid at all. Because his head wasn't in the space that I needed him to be successful. I knew there was always going to be a tug of war. So I was like, I'm not even going to waste my time in fighting with this kid all the time. So, So make sure when you're staying busy that you're being productive. And you can be productive even not knowing what you're doing. You know what I mean? Just spend your time wisely.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just do that. Sweep the floor or something till it comes to you. I'm serious. I'll say it'll come.
Well, that was another thing about being busy is scheduling. I think scheduling is very, very important. Spending your time wisely. I mean, one of the things that I learned over the pandemic is I had a lot of post-production projects that I needed to complete, and I'm still working on, but trying to get them done, I've always just kind of winged it because that was never my area of expertise. And sitting in the pandemic, trying to come up with things to do to stay busy, I was able to get a lot of the footage out and a lot of the footage back from people that weren't necessarily completing their portion of the post-production, and having to learn how to do it myself. And so what I did was I formed a schedule every day, basically, and said, I do have work responsibilities that I have to get done. So I'm going to try to get those done from this time to this time. And then, from this hour to that hour, I'm only going to edit, or I'm only going to write, or I'm only going to mix sound. And a lot of these steps, I didn't even know what to do. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to, actually, I'd never really color corrected before, which was something that some of the films needed very, very badly.
Yeah.
But I never done that before. And so instead of doing what I would normally do and just try to pass it off on someone else or just leave it in a drawer until I figured it out someday, I would say, all right, on Thursday from this time to this time, I'm going to learn color editing. And I would spend several hours watching videos, pulling up one of the clips, and try to find a tutorial that matched the type of color correction that I needed done. And I would do what they did and do what they did, do what they did. And then I'd go to another video and someone had a whole nother way of color correcting. Mm-hmm. And then taking what I learned and then applying it to the film and then passing that film off to another friend who actually knew how to do that stuff and said, hey, can you give me some feedback on this? Well, this doesn't match, that doesn't match, try it again. And then go back and try it again. All right, so on Tuesday, I'm going to work on this one scene from this time to this time. And it would always go over. But the point was that I found ways to force myself to sit down in front of the computer and learn how to get the job done. And I feel like my ability as an editor has drastically improved over the last year.
Oh, yeah.
And if I didn't take the time to learn how to do some of this stuff, I would have never got it done, and they would still not be done, and I would still be calling people trying to get them to do it for me.
Yep.
But I took the time to learn what to do, and it kept me busy, and it kept me working consistently throughout the pandemic. I'm now back at work, so everything is back to normal again, but I'm still following that same process. But if I can get home by this time, then I'm going to work from, this time to that time, and I'm going to work on this. And every single day during that block, I make sure that I'm sitting right here working, and it keeps me busy, and it's helping me get projects out the door that weren't necessarily going out the door before. You know what I mean? It works.
I've often thought about taking every button that's in the door that I use and actually just kind of looking at a tutorial on it all.
Yeah. Just
doing something like that too. That's interesting that you brought that up.
Yeah, because there's a lot in and I will just stick with the editing as the example. There's a lot in editing. It's not just drag and drop this shot to that shot. There's transitions, there's color, there's sound, there's length, there's speeding up, slowing down. It's an art form within itself. I used to look at it like it's a puzzle. And here's the pieces. They don't all fit together very well, but you got to figure out how to make it work. Good luck.
Right.
And I've taken the time to figure out how some of this stuff works, because I'll see a transition or a style or a pacing in another film and go, well, I tried to do that and it didn't work out so well.
Right.
And so now that I'm pulling this project out, plugging the hard drive in and tackling that scene again, I now know I need to figure out how this is going to work. And there are millions of tutorials out there. And so just finding these tutorials to just learn how to do this one specific thing that I may never, ever do again, but I've now learned that process and I'm going to apply it to everything, no matter what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It has sped up my editing. I just need to upgrade my computer and I'm good to go now.
Yeah, because mainly that's really what is workflow. Really,
workflow, exactly.
You know what I mean? That's really the key to editing is making your workflow as comfortable as you can get it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And if you can do that, man, I'm not gonna say you can whiz through, but it makes, like you said, it makes the process a lot quicker.
Yes.
Really, I've even been watching videos on workflow. How to get a better workflow and stuff like that. Utilizing folders and things to make things not so messy and stuff like it's been a beautiful, been a beautiful thing.
Oh yeah.
Beautiful thing.
within my 9 to 5 during the pandemic when we were all working from home, we had to have busy work. We had to clock so many hours throughout the day to stay employed, basically. And some people took it upon themselves to log into the shared network that we have and just reorganize.
Right.
And as someone who was not a part of that, I was like pulling my hair out trying to figure out where everything was because everything had just changed.
Right.
But once I got used to it, I realized they were right. And all the changes that they made have made my workflow so much better. And it's so much more organized that, once again, figuring out a schedule. All right, so my hard drive organization is a disaster.
Right.
And so I took a day and I said, all right, on this day, I'm going to reorganize all of my hard drives. So I now have a cataloging system that I built in my drawer. So all my hard drives are now labeled correctly, organized appropriately. Files were moved around so that there's not a music video on this file, a film on this file, pictures of my dogs on this hard drive, like music videos, this hard drive, this hard drive, this hard, short films, this hard drive, this hard, sound effects, this hard drive, this hard drive, personal, this hard drive, this hard drive. And it's all laid out correctly. And it's just trying to stay busy. Those are things that I'd put off and never cared to do. And when I was sitting in my office going, what in the world am I going to do? I've got to get something done. I saw someone else organize something and said, this is going to help me.
Yeah.
And to stay busy that day, I reorganized, and it's wonderful. That's
that good staying busy. You know
Exactly.
what I mean? Where it's definitely productive.
Yes.
To get your busy work going. I would love to one day sit down and go through all my unread emails. Or 5 days or however long it'll take.
Right.
So
Yeah. Delete.
Yeah.
Delete.
Yeah. A great portion of them. Yes.
Yep.
Once upon a time, I was all on top of my emails. Nah, not anymore.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Well, and I also think staying busy, and you touched on it briefly, was it's almost like a status symbol or a flex to be busy.
Yeah.
You know, because like I know musicians that are like, oh, I'm a rapper, oh, I'm a guitar player, or I'm a drummer, whatever it is that they do. And it's like, well, let me hear something that you're working on. Oh, well, I've never recorded, or I haven't recorded in months, or, you know, whatever. And it's like, well, do you really do that?
Right.
Do you really care?
Yep.
Like I'm constantly working on things, and everyone that knows me knows that I'm constantly working on things. Yep. And it shows that this is who I am. This is what I'm doing with my life. Yeah. It's not just a hobby or an interest. It's my life. And I feel like it makes me look more presentable. You know, I don't really care what other people think, but when you think of me, I don't want you to think of a failed filmmaker or he likes movies, but he don't do shit.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. I like also when like I worked on a project a few years back, and then like you hear the record drop as a single like this year, and you did the record some time ago. It's like, you know, I got enough work that, you know, if I don't do anything in making records, I can drop something, or someone else will drop something to still make it even just appear that I'm just making it shake. Right. And all the while, I done took 3 months off. There's so much product out there on the market that I put my hands on, to where, like, even when I feel like I'm not doing enough, something will come out, and, you know, I might have mixed it or produced it or wrote on it or something like that, recorded it or like, okay, all right. And that'll sometimes motivate me. If I'm not busy in that moment, that'll motivate me. Okay, then I need something new. This is new to everybody else, but we did that 2 years ago, you know, and then that'll motivate me to want to get busy all over again.
Yep. It's like when, like Prince, rest in peace, when he passed, I hadn't heard a new Prince song in ages. I mean, I don't even remember the last time a new album came out.
Came out from Prince, yeah.
Right, or a new single.
Mm-hmm.
He would pop up in a performance every once in a while.
Right.
Vaguely, but, and for an artist who's, up and coming or put out an album and then, never really put anything out, I could see them going, well, Prince is one of the greatest to ever do it. He's not doing anything. So, I don't have to do anything. And then he passed away and you find out that he's just got stacks of albums that were never released. The man never stopped making music.
Right.
Right. Like he stayed busy. And I'm sure he had plenty of time to screw around and do whatever it is that Prince did in his daily life, but he was consistently making music. And, whether he wanted it released or not, I don't know, but just knowing that it existed, like, made me feel good. That he didn't stop just because there wasn't anything coming out. He didn't quit. He just kept on, and I think a lot of artists do that.
Oh yeah. Tupac had a ton of songs. In that little bit of time span from the time he got out of jail till he died, he recorded a ton of records. I'm sure. Like I got a ton of records that probably never see the light of day. Just stuff that you just kind of. I'm sure you got a lot of short stories and films that you've done to where nobody never even heard about, let alone know that they exist. I'm sure.
The scripts for sure.
Yep. Again, that's that staying busy.
Right.
Staying busy.
I also feel like the more time that you take off and don't work, then the worse you get.
Yeah. That has some validity to it.
Like I don't think it's like, well, it's just like riding a bike. You never forget. Well, I think you do. And I think that if you're serious about it, you almost need to stay busy, not just to improve, but to stay to keep that skill alive.
Yep.
Like when artists, they take, like, especially musicians, like when they take, years and years off, and then they finally come back and drop a new album, and you think, they just don't have it anymore. I mean, they haven't made an album in 10 years. They probably don't.
Right.
They're starting over again.
And hell, music changes in 10 years' time too.
Oh yeah. That's why decades sound different.
I had a guy who was he's locked up. And I was talking to him on the phone. And he was a cold ass rapper when we were kids. He was cold, great rapper. And he was like, yeah, I cut some records since I've been in too. I'm like, really? He was like, yeah, they're on YouTube. So I listened to the records and they sounded a little dated. The things that made him like kind of nice when we were kids, that style had gone out the window. So many things had changed within the scope of the creative process in making records, to where like it was like going back to a time capsule type of situation. And I told him too, I was like, your penmanship is still great, but the way people are spitting today, that's like not what I heard on this record, So I do agree that there's some validity in what you're saying. If you're not sharp on, you ain't necessarily got to follow the trends, but you gotta be current enough to where you can compete. Like you said earlier, be competitive.
Right.
You want to compete. You do. So.
Yeah, because if you take too much time off, and like when these artists that do take extended vacations from releasing music, I don't know that they necessarily come back with their old style per se, but they definitely don't come back with a current sound because they haven't been in there working. Right. And as the styles change, they're not involved in that creative process. So it's almost like they're stepping into this new style of music with an outside perspective. They're not in it.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. And you can almost tell that it's not working.
Right. Oh yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can almost tell.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the comment that Andre 3000 made about him retiring from rap?
Is that where he was afraid that he would come back and we wouldn't meet his expectations?
He wouldn't meet ours.
I'm sorry. Yeah. He wouldn't meet our expectations.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I agree with him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to agree with him, but I do. You know, Outkast, I think, will always be, decades and generations from now, will always be at least in the top 10.
Oh, without question.
Of all time.
Uh-huh.
You know, not just hip hop.
Right.
Not mainstream.
Right.
Just in general.
All time. Yep. Mm-hmm.
You know, and they've gone so long without making music together. Big Boy is still making albums.
Right.
Like he's started different groups and made his own solo projects. He said that him and Andre still own the same studio that they bought together.
Right.
And he still records there. If they're not making music together, then they're going to come back with completely different styles, and we're not going to get the Outkast that we got when they finally walked away from the brand.
Yeah.
We're going to get something new, and I don't think that it'll be bad. I have no doubt whatsoever that it would be great, but I don't think it would be the great that we hoped for.
Yeah.
Because they're not who they were, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, whenever the last album came out.
Yeah.
And it's like, I know a lot of people hate Tom Brady, but think what you want. He still is incredible. You get tired of seeing him in the Super Bowl. Maybe he cheats, maybe he doesn't. I don't know. Right. But his record on paper is still amazing. And at some point, that's not going to happen anymore. He's not going to win every game anymore. He's not going to be the Super Bowl champion year after year after year. He's going to lose, right? And I don't know when that'll happen. It could happen this year. It could happen next year. But at some point, he's going to lose. And a lot of these star players come back for one more year, right? Because they want to go out on top. And then they lose. And then they walk away from a career that they've invested their entire life in, not a winner.
Right.
And it's I'm not including all the victories that they've had leading up to this last moment. It's just not great. Chipper Jones, Atlanta Braves baseball player.
Braves, yes. Mm-hmm.
I grew up watching Chipper Jones.
Mm-hmm.
I got to go to his last game, the last game he ever played for the Braves.
Mm-hmm.
I was sitting in the stands, and it was one of the worst Chipper Jones games I'd ever seen. And I've been to several Braves games, and it was just not great. He was just not on his A game. You could tell he was ready to go.
Yeah.
And I'll always remember Chipper Jones being who he is, and remember all of the highlights that I got to see in person and on television. But I'm also always going to remember that horrible game that he played,
Yep.
And so to answer your question about Outkast, I have a lot of good memories with Outkast music.
Yes.
And I would hate for them to come back with music that did not meet those expectations and that excitement that I have for that name slowly go away.
Yeah.
Make some music, share it with your friends, get some honest opinions, and then maybe release it or don't.
Yeah.
I really want it to come out, but I have to say I agree with him. But the fact that he's not making music, I think, is what makes his opinion valid. I don't know what went on in his personal life. He's been in movies and he's always great.
Right.
I've loved everything he's ever done.
Yep.
I'm not a hater in any way, but at least towards Outkast.
Right.
But, you know, I think that stepping away from the mic is what put him in a position that he's going to come back and we're going to go,
yeah.
Or maybe we won't. I don't know. I mean, they're Outkast, but who knows?
Now, I look at Method Man. I look at Meth on how, you know, Method Man has pursued an acting career. And he kind of disappeared from making records for a little while. A lot of old school, well, what's considered now old school rappers stepped away to pursue other opportunities. But then Meth came back, and Jadakiss came back, and like these guys, Busta Rhymes, they came, Eminem, they came back, and to me, they like reawaken the whole game too. So I look at that like Redman and Method Man are hotter than they've ever been. They're talking about Jadakiss top 5 dead or alive right now. You know what I mean? And these are all guys from the 90s. Busta Rhymes has had an amazing year. You know what I mean? Like, in one regard, I respect Andre for at least keeping it real with himself. But I also think too that there's a core audience out there for you that no matter what you drop, they're gonna be loyal to you.
Of course.
You know, like Ja Rule. I remember Ja Rule had a reality show. Well, no, it's Irv Gotti's reality show. I want to say it was on VH1, where Irv Gotti had a reality, him and his ex-wife and his children. And every now and then, Ja Rule would make an appearance. And then now Ja Rule is on the show. He's on a show called Growing Up Hip Hop with Run DMC's daughter. And in his first episode, him and Irv Gotti were sitting in the kitchen. They were talking to their kids. And he was saying, like, the kids was talking about getting into the entertainment business or whatever. And they was like, you kids ain't got the hunger that me and Irv Gotti had back when we were your age and whatnot. Y'all ain't got the fire inside of you. They were just trying to compare notes and stuff like that. And even in that time, Ja Rule was like, you know, he's kind of done rapping. He's like, I make records. I still make records, but I haven't released anything in years. I just kind of make them for myself and blah, 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 blah. Well, fast forward to about a month ago, 3 weeks ago, whenever Ja Rule and Fat Joe had the verses. And, you know, they kind of like brought Ja Rule back a little bit. Now, I get on the internet yesterday, Ja Rule has a new record on YouTube.
Really?
Yeah. So
how is it?
Not bad. It's Ja. But I'm a Ja Rule fan.
Well, which Ja Rule is it? Is it like original Ja Rule or is it pop Ja Rule?
Murder.
There we go. Okay.
It's that. So he's just kind of like, and it's only like maybe a minute and a half. It's one long verse.
Okay.
But he's kind of like just kind of saying, guess who's back?
Hey, come on.
It's cool, man. It is cool. It's cool. So the OGs are making a comeback. Maybe Ja Rule will captivate the young audience through that verses. Maybe he won't. But that gave him enough push to say, all right, let me see what I can do out here in these streets.
Yeah.
Let me see. So, you know, hopefully I like Ja Rule. I like him. I like Street Ja Rule. I like J-Lo Ja Rule. It don't even matter. I like them both. So, but you know, just a little nudge at him. People paid homage to him, so now he's like, maybe let's see what's happening. Let's see what's going on.
Huh? I think that the rap game needs some of these OGs to come back.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
the rap game, in my opinion, is taking a turn for the worst. And I feel old when new songs come out because I'm like, oh, you guys can't rap back in my day, blah,
right?
blah, you know. And so whenever these guys drop albums, it's just like Redman dropped a single earlier this year, and I hadn't heard a new Redman song in ages,
right?
And I've probably listened to it 100 times. Like, thank goodness.
Which one was it? Slap the shit out you? Which one was it?
No, of course you're gonna call me out on it, so I don't remember which one it was. Let me pull it up.
Slap the taste out your mouth. He got one where he's just slapping people in the video and shit.
No. This one's hold on, I got it right here.
I love Redman.
Zugga.
He's one of my favorites. One of my favorites. Yeah, I mean, but him and Meth together. And like I was saying last time we produced the show, like the Wu-Tang, they have the series on Hulu, which is on at midnight Eastern on Hulu. By the way, I'm gonna give a shameless plug because it's a great series. I don't know where I was going with that, but
shameless plug.
Yeah, but I love Method Man and Redman. I guess is where I was going with that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Those two are great.
For sure,
those two are great.
And I don't know. To go back to Outkast, like I'm never gonna say don't. I mean, because they need to. I hope they do.
Yes, I do too.
But I understand where it's coming from, and I hope that rap changes. I hope it doesn't stay in the style that it is now. I hope we start gearing back towards, lyrics that matter, not just shit to get to the hook.
Right.
Like I would love for that to happen. And I don't know that kids nowadays listen to Outkast. I mean, I do. The songs came on the radio when I was growing up, and I have their final albums. Like, if an Outkast song came out, I would listen to it, and if I knew one was coming, I would listen to all their previous albums building up to the release just out of excitement. But
Outkast
I don't know that.
it was like that's like whenever they dropped, it was like a must get. You know what I mean? It was like one of those albums that you just knew you had to buy it.
Right.
Regardless. Just because they dropped one, you had to go get it. You know what I mean? So they one of those type of groups.
Well, and I found them at the end. Like I'm Sorry, Miss Jackson was the first Outkast song I ever heard.
Really?
Yep. That was the first one. And so Speaker Box, that was the last album, right? Speaker Box? Yeah. So when Speaker Box came out, it was like, what do you mean this is it? They're done? They just came out. What are you talking about? Like, no, man. They've been around for a while. Go check these albums out. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, these guys are awesome. Why'd they quit?
You stupid. But they've been out for a while. Outkast, yes. AT Aliens, one of my favorite albums of all time. Yes. Man.
And they just released the anniversary.
Really?
It's a re-release, so it's all the instrumentals from the album. So to me, that was hey, we know this is one of the greatest albums ever, so let's go ahead and re-release it and see if people still like it.
Yep. And when it came out, man, that's the way you listen to it. Like, you listen to AT Aliens, first you had to listen for the message. Then you danced after you really analyzed the joint. In AT Aliens, you was like, whoa, what is this? And then once you listened to everything that they were saying, got the message that they were giving to you, now you're like, okay, let's party.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen. It was that big a record. The interludes and the skits in between and things of that sort. It was all like, yeah, man. Yeah. I'm just going back to my childhood just thinking about it. You know what I mean?
Probably gonna listen to it when we get off of here.
Yep. Elevators, man. Elevators, one of the greatest records ever done.
Yep.
Just great record. Yeah. So, but I don't know. I think reinventing yourself. Maybe Andre won't make records or doesn't feel like he has something to say. But you know, you can always reinvent yourself and do something different.
Yeah.
You know, see what works out. Tons of artists do that. Tons.
Yeah.
Go from singing R&B records to now you try your hand at Broadway or something along those lines. You have the credentials to kind of just do something different. Sure.
Yeah. Well, you got any last words for tonight?
I say stay busy. Well, staying busy is good if it's productive. If staying busy means flossing, I don't think that's the greatest strategy in staying busy. Productivity is what I'm always after. So just trying to find ways to keep the product moving in a forward direction, no matter what we got. I'm pretty busy, but in December I take a break every year. And I try to stay busy all year long, so in December I can take that break, you know. And even if you don't have a plan or a strategy in pursuing something brand new, just get a routine going and eventually something should pan out for you.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I got. What about you?
Yeah, I agree, man. Staying busy keeps the drive, keeps the rhythm flowing, keeps you being productive. And like I said earlier, I don't think you could be successful without being productive, and you can't be productive without staying busy. You know, to touch on the, don't be busy websites that I saw, you can miss out on things. You can be avoiding things, blah, 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 blah. But you can't get anything done unless you're busy. And, even if you got nothing to do, figure out something, start something new, keep those juices flowing. That's all.
Yeah. Thank you all for checking us out. Peanut Butter Magic. Boss 10, this is Diggs. Till next time.